They want attacking purposeful football all the time. Now we're going to have backs against the wall and we're going to fight, and we're going to fight hard. You've got to show me all the guts and all the determination you've got in your body. You've got to inspire me.
A marvellous kick. That's as good as you'll ever see. And puts player back in front.
I don't know about you guys, but if I see one bloke walking out of here, give the pat on the back from people out there for a good effort, I'll spew up.
From inside the centre square. Boydie kicked the goal. Boydie kicked the goal. From inside the centre.
Hey Pack, welcome to Danny Boyd, a podcast about the most wonderful, the most optimistic, the most hopefully Premiers 2026 club in the multiverse. That is the Footscray Football Club, Proprietary Limited. They trade as Western Bulldogs. I'm Danny McGinlay. Tom Boyd is with me.
I am.
As is the third member of Danny Boyd Steve-O. Mark Stevens, welcome officially. You are stepping up to the leadership group this year. Welcome.
Really, I'm on board. Is that right? It's like I was saying to Boydie the other night, is it like joining the Foo Fighters or something as the new drummer?
Yep.
Taking over from Taylor Hawkins. I mean, this is a big in, isn't it? Joining a supergroup.
Yeah, you're on probation. I mean, let's see how you go with your, you might, for all we know, you're going to lead us down some garden paths, and maybe you're a sleeper agent and you're going to do a lot of pro-Essendon propaganda. But no, we're feeling good. You've been on the show many times, one of the best journalists in the game. Now the managing editor
of Zero Digital. We're here at headquarters now. The boardroom in Cremorne, which is the creative area of Richmond. Very trendy here.
Yeah, well, very
Dan
trendy.
Orange is around the corner.
Well, that's right. I walked in and saw the fact that Steve-O is at least twice the age of everyone else that works here. So it might just be managing parent that has been invited in here to look after everyone else, I think.
You know it's a new media organisation because there's a foosball table, but it's in the corner. You're clearly not allowed to actually use it.
Yeah, and also that there was a guy doing stuff on a computer screen, but underneath him he had the NBA playing at the same time. Very new age media.
It is new age. There's guys with big headphones on and whatever, those Bose things or Beats.
So what is
really
your actual job
stuff
here? That's actually might be maybe a good place to start.
The job is to pull together the whole editorial team. So we've got 3 or 4 journos here in Melbourne, which is Zero Hanger. And in Sydney we've got Zero Tackle, which is the NRL website. So there's about 7 or 8 journos that we're working with, trying to build the level of journalism, and away we go.
So how does that actually look like? Do you set the direction of some of the stories that you're looking to do, or is it more like a line on some of the things you actually want to talk about versus
a bit of everything. I mean, we're trying to create interviews, patterns of stories, come in with ideas, I suppose, rather than just reheat stories that have been elsewhere.
Yep.
So it's like a mini AFL.com.
So you're not... Can you promise me right now that Zero Hanger will not run a headline, Kane Corn says...
I can promise you.
Or what about this one? The Rich List. That happens every year. It's just come out. Jay Clark has written that article
Boydie,
708 times.
Why would you specifically not want that article?
I'm good. I'm not in it anymore. I just sit there and go, actually, you know what? This is why I don't want to listen to it anymore. They're making more money than I was. It's the only reason.
An AFL great has weighed in.
Oh,
That's
God.
always it.
We'll be doing a few lists because lists have a lot of hits. And Danny, you made your debut on Zero Hanger last week. It's gone viral. What he's done the worst umpiring decisions in history for your club. Not in history, but since 2000.
Yeah, that's right. And for the Dogs fans, I think you'll automatically know it's the 09 prelim for us. Nick Revolt's one. We talked about it last week.
Danny's done his utmost of trying to make sure that Nick Rewald never looks at him ever again. I don't know if you've heard that story, but let's say Danny was pretty forthcoming of his thoughts when we were on Triple M last year.
Oh, yeah. I did bring it up.
Right.
And he wasn't happy, was he?
No, he wasn't happy. I don't know if you know this about Nick, but he's obviously had an incredible career and he's very proud of it, I would say, is the way that I think about Nick.
Yeah. Right. What you're getting that he takes himself too seriously?
I don't know if he, in general, but I'd say he takes his footy very seriously. That's why he's such a great commentator. Yeah. He takes the game very seriously.
I'd say he's relaxed a lot. I enjoy listening to him, and I think he's chilled out.
Yeah, I think Triple M's been good for that though, right? Because I think the agenda.
You can't work with Mick Malloy and take yourself seriously.
No, that's right. I mean, when they're sitting on agenda setters or whatever it is, and they're arguing about this, the blades of grass on the side of the ground, it's a bit rough. It's not exactly light-hearted.
I remember that game well though, the 09 one.
Oh,
the the toe poke at the end.
Now, Boydie, you were...
I would have watched that game, for
But
sure.
you were a Carlton fan back
But
then.
I was a big Dogs fan in 7, 8, 9, right? Because you guys were the team to watch in many ways. We're a very exciting team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I still remember the bald eagle running down the sidelines and kicking the ball very long. I remember
Jono.
Jono. Actually, you know what? I don't remember Jono as much as I remember. God, that's funny that I forget his name. What was your Mitch Hahn? I used to love watching Mitch Hahn play. I was
Mitch
like, he's not big
Hahn.
enough to be doing what he's doing, but he was a fantastic.
Yeah, we had
footballer.
Lindsay Gilby running off half-back, but
That's
that was a
right.
bit of a nightmare that night, to be honest. I reckon we had 25 more inside 50s, got rolled, probably out-coached by Ross in the end. As much as I love Rocket, Ross probably got him. And then I remember walking back home in Richmond and at Rowena Parade. And I don't know how we lost that game.
Yeah, and as I recall, before you go into your story, the Saints fans were not gracious. I had a bloke right in my face just screaming, go Saints.
You would have loved that.
And I just remember, like, I felt more betrayal because it's like, dude, you're a crap team. We're a crap team. We've won one flag. I get it. If I was a Collingwood fan or a Hawthorn fan, laud it. Enjoy this moment. But I'm just, you know how painful this is.
Yeah.
What'd you cop?
I ran into an old lady at the lights, Rowena Parade there, Punt Row.
But ran into sounds.
Well, she wandered along, son, if it makes you feel any better, you were the better side. And I unloaded on her. I actually
Really?
gave her I can't even repeat
like
what
she
I
was
said.
actually trying this
Yeah,
woman.
but that was so condescending. You were the better team. Well, that didn't make me feel any better. My
No, of
wife was
course
there
not.
and I actually verbally assaulted her. It was obscenities flying and the old lady just shuffled off. But I had to let that go because I'd been through so many losing prelims.
Mate, let me tell you this: 1997, one of the worst days in any Bulldogs memory. I remember being at the train station and just a whole bunch of Bulldogs sitting in stunned silence, and one lone Crows guy walked up to us. And really, just if you're ever in this situation, don't say anything. But he went, "Hey guys, we're all Australian, all right? We're all Australian. It's okay." And I'm like, shut up.
All right, can we move on from this trauma dump that we're going through at the moment? Let's get to some of the more positive things. We've got a whole new season ahead of us, not just the trauma of the past.
That's right. But have a look at that article. So yes, the reason we called this pod is to welcome Steve-O to the side, but also you two have been at the recruits dinner and you've met all the new Bulldogs, and we wanted to give an insight for our listeners on just how exciting it is. And there is an extra place. Like the Patreons are all asking who's taken Harm's spot, who have we got there? Is there someone who can maintain James Harm's cheekiness, the way he can throw blocks of ice at our team just after he's beaten us in the 2021 grand final, start a brawl, but then join the team anyway? Like, that's a special type of personality, and we miss you, Harmsy, already.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I sort of feel like we went looking for what we really needed in terms of the key back department, didn't find one during the trade period or the draft. It's probably unlikely that there's magically one that grows on trees. But having said that, that's
growing slowly, but he's growing.
Well, I did find, is it Lewis? What was his last name?
Will Lewis, who I think he's about 194 centimetre, third tall type operator forward. But when you look at the Dogs lineup at the moment with Norton and Darcy, do we need another sort of... But he's more of a lead-up player.
Yeah, but we also had that... we interviewed one of the new draftees. It was Louis
Emmett.
Louis Emmett, who is probably the biggest, most stereotypical private school I've ever seen in my
Scotch
life.
College boy.
Scotch College.
Now, what does this mean? I say when you say, because I went, I don't know.
I went to a Lutheran school, which was private,
that's independent.
But independent. Very.
Steve-O, where'd you go?
I went to Shepparton High School, which I can take one of the great...
That's independent in many ways too.
Well, because it's the only one.
No, there wasn't a lot of learning going on. A lot of rat bags.
When Boydie says the most stereotypical private schoolboy, I am picturing like a Harry Potter-esque Hogwarts wearing a gown.
Yeah. So there's like 3 or 4 things, right?
Okay.
Yes.
What were the parents into?
Yes.
What school did they go to?
Yep.
What do they wear? Which wasn't relevant the other night because he was in Bulldogs kit.
Yep.
And also, what degree is he studying?
Okay. So what was the first? What his parents are into? Golf, fine wines, and stocks.
Close. Yeah. Rowing.
Rowing.
Okay.
Right, big rowing family.
Rowing family.
Our brother's off in the world champs doing rowing at the moment.
Okay.
Louis was a rower.
Wasn't many of those at Shepparton Tech?
No, it was no...
Yeah, different types of rowers.
Yeah, no. Shep High didn't have any of that. And that's why you watch the Winter Olympics now, and all their parents are either snow ski. You have to be reasonably affluent to get into these sports.
That's right.
Shep High, not a breeding ground for Winter Olympics.
No, breeding ground for a lot of apples and pears, but not Winter Olympics.
So he's, and what was he doing? He's at Melbourne Uni.
He's Melbourne Uni.
Doing
and
arts.
what is he studying?
Law?
No, arts.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
Even worse. Arts is the degree, because before they specialise, arts is the degree they go, we've got plenty of money, just do whatever you feel like. And you go into arts and then you pick up a major after that.
We're ripping young
brother
guy.
did arts at Melbourne Uni, and he did it because, he had no actual career prospects.
Exactly.
Yeah. I reckon he'd be an R.M. Williams guy
for sure.
already, which is fair enough.
Am I.
Yep. I've got them. But his parents would have bought him some chestnut RMs, I reckon.
Yeah, and I'd imagine
the colour?
he owns
the colour
is this a
chestnut.
model?
He owns an Akubra somewhere, and he's been to a hobby farm at some description recently,
See, again, hobby farm just makes it sound like medicinal marijuana.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I just can't get out of my state school brain.
But the thing about this kid, though, and my inside mail is with the club that he could be a bolter for round one.
Oh, okay.
So
In the
you'll be hearing a
back
lot more.
line.
What's his name again?
Louis Emmett. He's training in the back line. He's 199 centimetres, and
he's very confident.
and the theory is that 5 on the bench.
Yeah.
He could be the 5th banana on the bench. If there's a crisis down back, which can happen at the Bulldogs, he can fill a hole.
Yeah.
and
happen several times a
as a
quarter.
backup ruckman.
Yeah, I agree. And I think there's it's interesting though when you consider the fact that you have Sam up there. You don't want to go, and Bevo's always gone. He's quite adverse to playing too many tools, which is an interesting element. But he was playing back. He's very big. Looks like he moves pretty well. And so between him and Lobby, at least we'd have the height back there to do something.
Okay. Yeah, and we do want to go through the new rules later on in this episode. But that's pretty exciting. And did he speak well, Louis?
He did, yeah,
did
he
he
was
have
good.
the Scotch college voice?
Yeah,
I'm
no,
quite
no.
excited to play football.
Yeah, no, he goes, I'll be studying part time.
No, he was
good.
fantastic.
He was really good. He did a great job for sure.
And it was well interviewed by Tom, actually, who really barged Kev Hillier out of the way. I meant normally Kev Hillier is the host.
Yeah,
Asked
friend of
all
the
the
show.
question, a friend of the show, and I could just sense some tension because Tom took over and really was asking a lot of hard-hitting questions. It was almost Kerry O'Brien, 7:30 report
Really?
type of thing.
What question were you most proud of, Boydie?
Well, there's one that I didn't ask, which I'll share in a moment. There's a couple that I did ask. I will say this. I got asked to do it as a dual MC, 2 people asking questions, and just on a speaker's notes, the fucking microphones weren't one of them wasn't loud enough.
Brilliant.
Not enough microphones. Just
Always
a pain,
happens.
Pain in the butt.
Is this at Whit Noble?
At
In
Whit
that-
Noble.
in
Two
that fancy room?
mics, 2 interviewers, 2 guests. Doesn't work. Anyway, not the point. But I did have a question that I didn't ask. Would you like to hear it?
I would love to. Do you want me to pretend to be, Louis
Sam
Abbott?
Power. No, Sam Power. Was
I'm Sam Power, okay.
So I didn't get to ask this because I thought Sam was going to sit up there longer and he didn't. And we asked him a couple of serious questions first about, how much the role of a list manager has changed and all of the different, there's 1,000 new rules that you've got to consider that they never used to, right? It was pretty cut and dry. This is how many players you can have. This is the salary cap, etc. Now you've got all these points and picks and, all of the academy stuff. But the one that I didn't get to was, I think a lot of fans look at the club and they go, how are these things actually managed? How are the decisions made to select the first pick that you have or to do a trade? And the short answer is it's supposed to be by diplomacy between sort of 6 people who sit on a list management group / committee. And in reality, I think every Dogs fan just sits there and goes, I think Bevo just makes all the decisions. And so my question to Sam was going to be, so Sam, have you ever had a position where you and Bevo have disagreed on a player and why did you compromise? Because I've heard this, both obviously from inside words and outside thoughts. I think,
This
I know
does
how
feed
this
a
works.
certain narrative. Yeah. I'm not sure the club would be too
But
happy
he
about.
played a straight bat, Sam Power. He's a poker
did.
face.
He is,
He's
yeah.
not really
He's a lawyer.
outgoing.
Right,
Yeah, lawyer.
that's his background.
So it was good questioning, but I just sensed that Kev Hillier is concerned about his future hosting that event because there was tension about who could get the right question.
In fairness, right, so the way it actually ended up working, I've basically been potting Kev for maybe 15 years that he asked the same stupid questions of draftees. And I think at some stage someone went, you know what, if this bloke's going to criticise Kev, you go to it.
Yeah,
right?
nice.
I think that's how it worked. And
What would you have asked, Steve?
Well, all the draftees are all interesting in themselves. So I think in the end, Tom asked a lot of good questions. Lockie Carmichael was an interesting one, the Sydney guy.
Okay.
Like, he is out there.
Mate,
and he actually said, well, I don't mind. One of Kev's
questions was, who did you watch growing up? Sort of thing.
what did you watch growing up? How hard have you found the transition? He asked that every time into a full pre-season. And Lockie Carmichael said, it's been fine. I've actually found it quite easy.
Oh.
He said,
and then he goes, oh, that's the worst thing, you know. And I said, mate, you shouldn't have said that. You should not have said that. And then Kev goes, of course, oh, well, now they're going to, like, greatly up your training. And he was, by the way, he's tweaked his ankle. So it's not like, it can't be that easy. But anyway, then he goes, oh, it's going to make it all that easy. He goes, great, bring it on.
Yeah, I loved his attitude. He was cracking gags.
Yeah, he was goofy.
He said a thank you and thank you to the ex-players.
Yeah.
I think he's one to watch. And I think
so is he? When you say he's out there, is this like a Shane Biggs out there, or are we talking a
no? I would say
Bontempelli?
like. You know how we always tell the story of Toby McLean's like too much bravado when he first got to the club and the handball game with Boydie and
for those who don't know, in his first training drill.
Yeah, he just basically, in a walking training drill, he got out of the back and started like strutting down the field, which you don't do when you first arrive at the club. Toby's not like that all the time, but it reminded me of that type of behaviour. Just the confidence to go and be yourself amongst a whole range of other people who, in many cases, can be quite scary. I think that's actually really helpful, especially early in your career.
And he started footy in Singapore, which he revealed.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
He started there, fam. I think he's...
Did he play with Libba at Vietnam Swans?
It's hard to explain how weird some of the answers were, but he was kind of like, what did he say? He said, I started in Singapore, but, you know, you guys probably don't care about that. And just on stage.
He's got a little bit of... I reckon we didn't get to this. There's no doubt his private school as well.
Yeah.
Family, Singapore, normally
finance.
Private school.
Finance.
International school.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm not sure anyone's ever been over to Singapore that wasn't in finance.
Does he have that weird international school accent?
No.
Because I got my cousin from Scotland was a policeman in Hong Kong for years, so his daughters went to international schools, and he's Glasgow, you know, hey, how do you pay? You're right. And they go, Daddy, will you take us to the Sevens?
Yes. So my nieces from Dubai have that for sure.
It's so weird.
Yeah, it's odd.
Yeah. So
it's half Americanized, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a player. I reckon he would have played round one if not for this ankle.
Okay.
They really like him. So they stole him from Sydney, basically.
Yep.
How long did he play at Sydney?
Well,
he was in the academy.
Oh, brilliant.
So they had a chance to bid on him. We got in early, got him. So I think he's a great result. But he's
what pick did we get him, Steve-O? Do you know?
23 or something.
So
it's Lockie Carmichael.
Lockie Carmichael.
Right.
I think he'd be a Rose Bay sort of double bay operator in Sydney.
I reckon it's funny too because the academies always make me think of a lot of the kids who were taken from like Wagga and Riverina and that sort of stuff, and they're like, this guy's from Paddington.
Yeah, and Connor Buderick was the other one. He spoke well.
Connor Buderick,
the old man of the night, as I am here, the old man of the building. But he's a good unit.
Yeah,
solid.
no, he's good. Yeah, he's going to be a player for us. For
going to
sure.
be a player.
If you guys didn't hear, for anyone who didn't hear last week's episode, Steve, I don't know if you heard, but a bloke on a cruise ship told me that Connor Buderick is exactly what the dogs need.
Yeah,
and this is why we brought you in, because that's my source.
Right,
yeah, I'm not sure about exactly what we need, but he's going to be an absolute player for us. I think exactly what we need is like Dale Morris back would be nice.
Don't we miss Dale? But it's going to be hard to find another one of those. But Buderick will play on. Is it Buderick or Buderick?
Buderick is what everyone is. I've not heard Buderick.
Okay, I'm from Shep, mate. So anyway, so he's going to play on lockdown. We haven't really had a lockdown player to say play on a Cozzy Pickett in the forward line or some little zippy forward.
Sort of your Dr. A, but maybe a bit more attacking was the read on what I heard.
Yeah, so he can do both lockdown and that. So
no, and I think he's clearly, like, even sitting up there and the way he carries himself, he's obviously much more comfortable at the top level than these guys who are still trying to find their feet. And I did make reference to the fact that he might be the first player or person, for that matter, in the history of the world who's gone from the Gold Coast to Footscray. I was like,
that was a good gag.
I think it's the opposite most of the time, right?
And he's good. He's had 2 knee recos at the age of 25. So He's had a tough run, so he's had a couple of recos coming back from, which is not ideal.
I saw some great highlights from him up in the Gold Coast in our recent trip, or Noosa, or wherever we were staying. Certainly looks like, well, obviously he should feel comfortable up there being in the heat for the last few years, but he looked like he moves very well.
Yeah, so and the other guest, of course, Will Darcy, who's a young boy, but I've been watching him on the
story. We've not heard. Everyone's excited about
that was
him.
Kev's opening. Any connection to the club, mate?
Apparently the boys have played a bit of a joke in the locker room, actually. On Sam Darcy's.
Okay. So
someone's put a little sticker on, brother of Will.
Oh, that's fun.
So I like that.
That's fun.
So the boys are laughing about that.
Isn't there another Darcy
there is.
A few years away?
Max
Darcy, that's it.
I've known since a little boy because my daughter played basketball with Sienna Darcy, who's one of the famous
the other Darcy.
Yep.
Another Jet.
And he looks a jet. He's looked good from the age of 3 or 4.
It's always the youngest.
But he's shooting 3-pointers, I reckon, as a 3-year-old.
Whoa.
I'll make a call that he looks the most promising of all the Darcys.
Wow, I love this. I will.
More than Sam.
It's a big call, but from what I've seen...
I think I've ever heard him.
No, he looks promising. I think he's growing tall and he's a Darcy. But the trouble is, I'll probably change the father-son rule now because it's just becoming unfair.
Not a chance.
It's definitely, we are benefiting from it too much to allow that to happen. So
we've got Sam, Will and Max. Look, I love Luke Darcy and what he's done for the club has been amazing, but we need, come on man, less generic names just so we can try and remember. Like we've got Riley and Levi West. Okay, that's easy to remember.
Well, speaking of that, your good mate Mitch Wallace was there. We were talking about, he's just had a son.
Yeah, number 2 for him, number 2 son.
What's the name?
Maverick.
Brilliant.
Named after Top Gun.
Well, yeah.
I don't know if you've ever met Mitch before. It was the third, and to be fair, his other 2 kids have got very normal names.
Goose and Iceman.
Yeah, that's it.
I like it. I like
Very traditional names, I should say. But no, I think, I tell you what, let me say this without sharing anything I shouldn't about those kids. They're going to have enough energy to play footy. That's for
good.
sure.
Yeah. That's good.
Mitch, I think, and I was talking to Kev Hillier about this the other night. He was saying Mitch was an absolute nightmare as a kid, hanging around the club, and he was just a ball of energy, which makes sense if you know him now. So that's interesting.
But they're doing well, the Wallace family too. I mean, they're plugging their business. He's got the drone business, obviously. Drones that...
What do they do? I don't know.
Apparently, you can put a drone up over an oval and it can tell you the health of the grass.
Yeah.
Wow.
And whether it's seeding properly or too dry.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, the way the Wallaces are, they're not struggling. They've also got a Wagyu beef farm in northern Queensland.
Jeez.
It's true. And then after Mitch did that whole sales pitch, I got up there and potted him for 5 minutes, basically, because I was like, Jesus, do you want to hand out business cards for Christ's sake?
Would Mitch like to loan us a drone and it just sort of goes around us while we record a pod and then we chuck that up on YouTube?
Well, whoever makes the decision to get rid of the father-son, we should try and get any incriminating evidence that we can find, you know what I mean? Just to have some leverage against that, I think.
But imagine just having a Wagyu beef farm in northern Queensland. You'd think it would be fair.
I've sampled it. It's very good.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah?
Yep. Anyway.
No, but that's getting off.
We need a sponsor for the pod. Does he want to help out?
That's true. Yeah. I'll work on him.
Yeah, so they were all the guests that night, and I was lucky enough to be sitting next to Kelvin Templeton, which...
The best. The
dream. Yeah, talking about his book signings.
It is a great book.
Great book. I haven't read it yet.
He drew the raffle too, the big fella.
He drew the raffle. And it's great to see Kelvin Templeton back at the club because I reckon there was a time where he became a mysterious guy who was never seen.
Well, he lived in Dubai for ages. He lived the big finance life and he was CEO of the Swans and stuff. But he's a bull and played for the D's and stuff. But he's a bulldog.
But he's a long way from Traralgon.
Yes.
He's now a very Collins Street type of operator, St Kilda Road. I think he lives up. You can imagine him in a penthouse in St Kilda Road.
He's got an MTC membership. Goes to see every play going on.
Yeah.
And he's a real supporter of the arts. Speaking of which, my comedy festival show starts on March. I think it's 23. Tickets through Tribe Booking. Just go to my socials and you'll see the tickets there. Bulldogs members get discount price.
Right. He also spoke about the 1980 Brownlow.
Yes. Now, that's an interesting story.
Fascinating. I remember watching it live as a young kid, very young at that stage, up at Shep. And he reveals that he was told on the way into the Southern Cross Ballroom that he'd won.
Wow.
They said, just to let you know, the camera's going to be on you a bit. Don't give too much away, Kelvin, but you've won. So an AFL staffer let him know before the count that he'd won the Brownlow.
Which is weird. Like, you can imagine if, like, Brendan Favola won it, they'd warn him just to, lay off the booze. Dane Swan, Kelvin Templeton, he would have a Shiraz and a cravat.
Yeah, it was a different era of the Brownlow. I'm not sure whether you remember this, Danny, but they didn't do it round by round. So it wasn't, they'd count, it was
Kelvin
really
told me
boring
this.
actually. They count all the 1 votes, not in any order.
Oh, they're terrible.
Oh.
Count all the 2 votes, not in any order.
I didn't know it was this bad.
Then it'd get to the 3 votes, and they would shuffle the votes for drama. So he came from nowhere, and suddenly all these K Templeton, and that's why they told him. They said, "You're going to come from nowhere. Just be prepared."
So they try to script it that way instead of making the night interesting on the whole.
Like
That's
WWE.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3 votes.
Whoever
they read
came
out.
second, probably like a Barry Round or something, and then Kelvin Templeton is behind him with a chair and just whacks him.
And I think in 80, the Dogs pretty much, if they didn't finish last, was second last. So it's amazing to win a Brownlow as a forward too in basically the worst side in the comp.
Yep.
Yeah, it's going to be
Be nice if some guys who are playing in the middle of the ground and being the best player in the comp for 8 years had won one. But anyway,
Lachie Neale needs another one.
Yeah.
How did Ollie Wines beat Bont that year?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Oh, what was that, 21?
Yeah. One of your mates from up in Echuca, mate. So
the water skier from Echuca. So that was a good night with Kelvin Templeton. Also, Stewie McGee was next to me. Stewie McGee, next Bulldog, South Melbourne.
Okay.
Famous. He played over 200 games.
Oh, man, I should
Famous
know.
around the groundsman. And also Jeff Jennings.
Yes.
Yes.
Who's a bit of a legend.
He's been around a bit, Jeff, in the last couple of years. Been good to see him.
Yes, he's a former captain, sort of mid-70s, late 70s, early 80s.
With the one and only Brian Cordy, who's picked up a second job now, is painting his son's fences, I've noticed. Because, Zane lives across the road from me. I haven't seen Zane pick up a paintbrush, but his dad's always there. So,
and Zane obviously signed up at Uni Blacks.
Yep.
So it's a big signing.
And he was down there. Actually, great to see Zane back at the club. First time I've seen him at the club in, 5 years, I'd say, at least. So,
will he, he played a few years at the Saints, but he'll be a Dogs man?
I think so, yeah. I think he had an interesting experience being a Saints man, would be my general disposition, without sharing things.
I did ask him about Ross, because I'm fascinated by being, what's Ross like behind, and he was pretty diplomatic. But he did say that as you get older, you speak up a bit more. And he said I gave Ross some advice on the way out the door, just constructive advice on what they could do better.
Yeah? Do you reckon it was received well?
I think it was. I think he's a bit of a rap for Ross.
So if the Saints win the flag,
I think Zane's perspective was I was all right at my stage of career and the way that I think about footy for Ross, but a lot of guys aren't, obviously. If you're young and trying to figure it out, it can be quite a challenging experience. But I think that's the case with a lot of senior coaches, to be honest. And I don't think we're really exactly revealing anything that's not abundantly apparent in every media interview that Ross has ever done, which is that he can be a bit gruff.
Oh, yeah? Yeah. All right, can we go to some questions from the Patreons?
We can.
If you would like to ask a question at any point during the podcast year, please join up. It's only $5 a month, $4 if you pay for the whole year.
Met some great ones who actually came up and said hello to us at the recruits dinner the other night. Awesome. I think it was a fantastic little part of the community. And in fact, this lady, I think her name was Jenny. Jenny, if it was you, if your name's not quite Jenny, I'm sorry. I met a lot of people that night. But she said that she'd actually only joined up in the last month or so. She'd only found out about it. So she's been listening to every episode chronologically from 2021. And she goes, it's like a time capsule. She's going back in time to be able to listen.
Oh, right.
She's listened to all our old episodes, free to air and Patreon. And she goes, it's amazing. I'm like, really? Good on you. Good on you. I also met a lady, as a side note, Janine is this one's name, who has seen James Blunt 70 plus times live in her life.
Wow.
And I said, that is extraordinary.
Is she a Patreon?
She was wearing Bulldogs beads, let me say that.
Yeah. How did you get onto James Blunt?
No, she volunteered that. That was the second thing she said to me.
Hi,
I love you. Also, big James Blunt.
James Blunt.
He's good on socials, James Blunt.
He is, yes.
He's funnier than you think, yeah. She wasn't just having a dig at you with rhyming slang or something.
Nope, she's been seeing him for 20 years too. And she goes, I know, because the 20-year reunion of Back to Bedlam or whatever was the last year.
Yeah,
and I saw him 7 times in the UK and 5 times across Australia and New Zealand.
All right, serious question from Will. Soft tissue injuries, is that bad luck or a bad pattern?
Exactly at a club, is that the question? Is that what he's trying to say?
Yeah.
What soft tissue injuries have we had as a pattern? I mean, the thing is, there's been patterns with certain players, like Jace Johannesson, for instance, doing a lot of hamstrings. Easton Wood.
Treloar's got a bit of a pattern, but that happens at this age.
A few people have asked how many games can we realistically expect from Treloar?
Well, 10, 15.
Okay.
I think in reality, if they're trying to get him to play the best footy on average per game, if that makes sense, rather than just have peaks and troughs, he probably plays 2/3 of the year.
Yeah, he's got a string at the moment, which is a bit of a concern. Obviously, he's had the calf. Now there's a minor hamstring.
Yeah.
So
but he's been having that since he was at the Giants with me.
Yeah.
He's had issues his whole career with it.
Okay. So nothing, don't worry about it.
I don't think so.
He's often carried calves. If you can play these days with a slight calf twinge, and at times you've noticed he's been taped up. They sort of tape it up
Compress
tight, compress it, and get through. But as you get older, Danny, it gets a bit harder, as I can see in those running shorts.
I think the fact of the matter is that if you have...
That's something else that's hard in the shorts, mate. I'm just excited to be here.
If you have players who are high speed, high octane, or cover a lot of ground like Adam does, you're going to have issues with them a lot of the time. Okay. And I would say that, if you the example of Adam's a good one because he's been at multiple clubs. He's had issues in every one of them with soft tissue. So at the end of the day, I mean... You'll notice if there's a problem, and there have been problems. Like take the Port Adelaide example from a number of years back, where they went and did whatever it was, all the 10,000 or the 10K sessions, the 100s, and all that stuff, slow pace, and then they all did hamstrings. Yeah. That's a mistake by the high performance department. They didn't do enough high performance or high intensity training, I should say. But if that happens, those guys are sacked in about 5 minutes, and the world will change very quickly.
We'll take us into Adam Treloar's mind. I mean, he's a serious football head, isn't he? He takes you think at times you overthink it, maybe?
I think so, but less and less as his career's gone on. If you think about how consistent a player he's been, even for us, albeit with injuries, like it's hard not to be as focused as he is if you want to get that result. And you'll find that most of those guys are exactly the same in that regard, and they just hold themselves to such a high standard and such a consistency.
There's a bit of Steve Smith about him, I reckon.
Yeah, that's not a bad call. That's not a bad call. I remember when
he
we
does rub sandpaper on the ball a lot.
when I used to play with him at the Giants, it was too much, and I think he would admit that it was too much. When he first started playing the game, it was like he'd be in the club doing just touch work for 5 hours on his day off, to the point where he overtrained. What is touch work? Like as in like throwing the ball against the net,
balls.
doing the balls machine, all that sort of stuff. And I think he just overdid it. So I think he says that he has a much more balanced approach now. He's obviously got a family at home. He's doing the podcast with Dunks, all that sort of stuff. He's obviously spread his wings, so to speak.
Just realised the comment is from our official Danny Boyd, Steve-O, statistician Andrew Giggs, who is also the club historian. But did you know, if Libba plays all 26 games in 2026, that's 23 home and away, 3 finals, and we win the flag. If he retires there, he will have played exactly 283 games, equal with only one other Bulldog to finish on 283, Tony Liberatore.
Yeah, interesting.
Wow, let's hope he gets there.
Damn How do these people's brains work? That's the real question. Do they just see the world through spreadsheets?
He does some weird... He does the number plates and all that, and crazy anagrams. And
Yeah, he's an interesting unit, but we love him.
Well, hopefully Libba can do that. But again, like he's got a bit of a quad now.
What do we think about Libba being not vice captain this year? I feel like on one side age is one thing, but on the other side,
he was so good.
We needed someone to stand up last year with Bond on the sidelines for 8 weeks, and he did as good of a job as I've seen anyone do.
Yeah, I find it unusual. And I've been looking at the treatment of Libba in the pre-season where he's been playing.
Half-back and...
Like, this is a bit of a red alert. Not a scoop, but I reckon he's getting squeezed out of the midfield. So that's interesting that obviously Bevo's keen to get Fraser in, which is fair enough. But Libba, it may be like a Matty Boyd situation where he got squeezed out and went back.
But Matty didn't play like that. That's the thing.
No.
Libba plays hunched over for a reason, right? He's a ball hunter, whereas Matty Boyd did that, absolutely. But he also played much more upright, much more vertically, and he could also see the game from behind the ball quite well.
So I find it hard to envisage Libba running off a halfback flank.
Yeah, succeeding anywhere really, except for the middle of the ground. Really.
Well, I think he could play
forward, like a Cody Waitman type.
I suppose the question though is that what is the so Matty Boyd you would get say 80% of Matty Boyd you could get at halfback, right, compared to what his best was in the midfield. You're not going to get 80% of Libba at halfback. You're not going to get 80% of the tackling, the chasing, the clearances. He was leading the clearances in the comp last year for quite a large portion of the
I'd have him in the middle. But I also want to get Fraser in. So what do you do?
make the ground shorter. So
I think maybe one of the themes of Bebo's coaching career at times is that he does do what maybe he learned from the sort of Clarko era, which is move on quite quickly from a lot of these guys. And, I'm not sure that you would look back at the Hawks experience and say that worked perfectly, really, unless you're saying now that the measure of success of them basically shedding all of their senior guys maybe a year or two early was actually a positive, and that's the reason why they're back and sort of successful now. If that's the case, great, but that was a few down years after that as well.
Yeah, I've just got to watch on Libba because he was in the All-Australian squad, top 40. I think he was runner-up in the BNF.
Yep.
And now suddenly he's playing in a different spot. Yep. And Bevo, in that Herald Sun interview, inferring that, sure, our midfield looks great on paper, but it didn't cut it when it counted. So I think he's preparing people for a change.
Which is interesting too, though, because we've been talking about this for 5 years since we've been doing this podcast, at least. There was a philosophy that Luke had when he first arrived at the club, which was that our collective midfield will win. Right? We'll play 10 or 12 guys through there. We'll definitely have our staples, but we're going to bring energy in as much as possible. Yeah. And what you got from that was you had all these guys like the Kobe Stevens and even the Clay Smiths of the world who ended up being able to have decent games because they got their 10 minutes or 5 or 7 minutes a quarter. But then they also started to contribute elsewhere because you kept them involved and you kept them high energy. Then we went to this model where it was like, we're just going to play 4 people through there. And then you have like the spill off of the guys like Bailey Smith who just couldn't get into that 4-person midfield. And obviously he goes on and plays at a different club. So it's really interesting how, are we going to change back to more of a team midfield because he didn't feel like the 3 or 4 of the guys that ran through there predominantly last year did get it done, or what do we do?
Yeah, and Jack McRae you saw suddenly fall out of favour. Yeah. So that's sort of Bevo style. That once you get to near that cliff, it can happen pretty quickly. So McRae, like I don't like seeing him run around at St Kilda, but that sort of happened quickly.
Yeah, no. and he goes over there and he basically plays the same way that he was playing before he fell out of favour. Yeah,
it's the same player, but yeah, I think. The other one's Riley Sanders. Where does he fit in? Yeah. Because there's no spot for him. And he's not really a half forward either.
The big fear from a lot of people is Tassie are going to snap him up.
And that he's, and I think, the challenge for him is he's probably, 3 or 4 centimetres and 5 or 6 kilos smaller than the guys that he's coming up against a lot of the time. And, if you look at Bevo's history, it's the Bonts, it's the Chalors, it's the Libbers, it's these bigger midfielders predominantly that get
and that's
get the game
Fraser.
time.
That's why, because of the size of him, and he looks fantastic. But I haven't seen enough of Sanders yet to think that he'd be a huge loss to go.
I thought the start of his year last year was quite outstanding for a third-year player who's, again... I look at it through the lens of access. If you don't have any access, it's really hard to perform well. And with limited ability to actually get around the ball where he's probably most comfortable, he still managed to have quite an impact.
Yeah, well, fingers crossed. He's done 2 hammies actually, one on both legs.
Oh, he's balanced. That's good.
Yeah, so at least he's balanced. But it'd be interesting to see where he fits in. And you're right with Tassie because, look, you'd think that he would end up at Tassie. Because they've got all that money.
What's the mail on Tassie, mate? What are we hearing in the journalistic circles? Are they going to come rip the guts out of the competition?
Yeah, well, I bumped into someone well placed at Tassie on Swan Street yesterday. I won't say who it was, and they're very bullish about the attitude of star footballers wanting to come to Tassie.
Okay,
they would say that though. They haven't seen it in winter.
Yeah, but look, it's improved. And plus there's that cash bonus.
Yeah.
They've got a $3 million bonus sort of set up that they can use.
Yeah, well, it's $1 million each, right? They can use, so they can get 3 players with $1 million upfront signing bonus, basically.
So
and as many salmon as they can eat.
It doesn't go as far in Tassie as it used to. I spent a couple of trips down there actually watching my sister play it in Tassie last year. And also I think maybe it's something that I learned. I mean, there's quite a bit of water to go under the bridge before they have this great facility that they're going to be, professional athletes down there. They're going to be kind of like the state leagues playing at Old Vic Park for a while, I think.
Yeah, they're building a $140 million facility.
Yeah. And that's going through now? Like they've had several elections
Well, they've got the training facility. That's starting. They've got the stadium. I think my source there said they've already got 60 staff.
Yep, that'd be right.
60.
Yeah, I met someone very close to it as well, and they were already up to 45 in the middle of last year.
So I tell you, the comedy club closed down, so we're still waiting on them to open.
There was nothing open in Launceston or Hobart when I was there.
Launceston's got fresh comedy, which is
some good pubs,
semi-regularly.
Royal Oak. Yes. One of the best Chinese restaurants in Australia.
Some great seafood.
Opposite the stadium. Utah.
in Launceston. Okay.
You wouldn't believe it.
No.
Like
you don't.
flower drum in the back streets.
Holy crap.
Yeah, you just have to listen to the excavators pulling Utahs down whilst you sit there, unfortunately, at the moment. It was an absolute disaster last year.
They just crank up the SBS pop age.
I think in reality, not that we're here to talk about Tassie, but I mean, if they're essentially the model they're looking to be is Geelong, right? If they can be the biggest team in a one-team town, it's an awesome thing for footballers to be a part of.
A great lifestyle down there if you like your trout fishing.
Yep.
Yeah, I think
Fly.
because you get all the surfers going to Geelong, but you'll probably get the people who like a bit of Mona and some whiskey distilleries and
Bit of hiking.
and stuff.
Plenty of surfing in Tassie.
Is there?
Yep. It's just cold.
Yeah.
So cold.
Do you still surf? Because I remember that famously, obviously, when you were drafted, I pounced on Tom.
Did you?
I was there for 7.
Night of the draft, I turned up at the airport with a surfboard and Steve goes, "What are you doing, Tom?"
So I got the
I'm
exclusive.
frying an egg.
I got the exclusive interview with Tom. So he's turned up for the draft with his surfboard. How cool's that? So did you have a surf? Or was that just
I did when I was up there. No, for sure. Because you know what I was thinking was there's going to be a lot of crap around the draft. The one place that no one's going to bother me is in the ocean. So I went out there.
Little
for a
did
couple.
you know, Steve-O would pop up with a snorkel.
He turned up with a scuba diver. It was very strange.
But were you even thinking that cynically at that stage?
Yep.
Right.
Definitely.
It's
I
only-
was getting... But you got to remember, I think one of the things that really exacerbated my experience during that year was I was injured for a lot of it.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time around people like you and Cal Toomey and those like, And,
Kel Toomey was about... I don't even think he
about 12.
existed then.
No, Cal Toomey was just getting started with AFL.com because he came to the AIS trip to Europe and stuff for this. So we spent a lot of time together.
Gee, that would have been exciting for you, Kel, hanging around the bar and everything,
He
wasn't it?
actually, to be honest, Cal was fantastic. He was one of the better ones. And I get to meet great ones. Emma Quayle's another one. She was great to work with. There was a few sort of, sleazeballs, but that happens.
But the best journos are a slow burn and they just get to know people. And that's exactly what Cal's done, starting with draftees.
Yep.
So he got to know the young players who are now the superstars of the competition and the managers who are now the key players in the competition.
Got to do it the right way. And I think, it's an interesting world we find ourselves in. But I would say the media landscape, obviously, you're evidence of it in some way, shape or form, joining this place. What's it called again?
Zero hanger, zero tackle in Sydney, zero digital.
I think actually the landscape at the moment is really quite positive for players, I would say, because it's a lot more diverse in terms of what people talk about, what people are interested in. Take the Dan Gorringe as an example, taking over a large slice of the media market and is not sitting there going, you know what, this bloke just doesn't want it. Which is what footy media got to. For about 10 years,
I think it has softened. I think a lot of the journos have softened a bit. I think
legacy media seems to be quite negative.
Yeah, in my day at the Herald Sun, it was fairly negative.
Yeah.
In the 2000s, but I think it's changed, and the AFL has a little bit of power over the journo too. I mean, if you're accredited AFL, you can sort of go hard, but you also need the AFL at times to help you with things. So it does hold people back.
Well, speaking of being positive about someone, we got a question here from Tom. Different Tom, not you.
How do you know?
How will we manage Sam Darcy's ego when he becomes the first player to kick 200 goals in a season?
It's a good question. They actually asked me that the other night, in terms of like, what can we expect from Darcy? And I'm like, I think the big difference between what I felt like I went through when I got there is because I was on a big contract, it just throw you not to the wolves, but they throw you out there straight away. Whereas if you take Sam, what did Sam play? 6 or 7 games in his first 2 years?
He had some injuries.
Bit of injuries, but they took their time with his foot and stuff in particular.
Yeah.
Then they played him 6 or 7 games the next year. Yeah. Sort of, I feel like they've kind of eased him in a really good way. So I think we're in a great spot with him, to be honest.
What do you get for Mark of the Year? Do you get a car still?
I
don't think it was a
Mark
car.
of the Year.
I look back on it, and as a Bulldog fan, I'm still thinking, I'm not sure he hung on to that.
No, he didn't. No.
I took it.
He didn't, yeah.
We took it on, because if he had dropped that, we were probably in trouble of dropping the game.
Yeah, I'm happy they paid it, but also you kind of go, well, if it's Mark of the Year, do the selectors of that actually go and judge the umpiring decision as well? Or do they have to take it at face value? Because otherwise they could just, come up with anything.
But he seems to be egoless.
I don't think so. I think he's got a big ego, but I think you have to be if you're a footballer.
I like it.
If you want to be,
he's the most quiet kid growing up.
Yeah, I think in the best way, the best way for a key forward.
But he's got mongrel, hasn't he?
Yeah. And I also think that it's interesting because obviously there's been quite a bit of commentary around him kicking a big bag of goals in the intra-club. In many ways, I would say Rory Love's almost the worst matchup for him because Rory's so used to having space and extra length on his opponents.
Of course. Yeah.
But now he's come up against a guy who basically has an extra couple of inches and is also bigger and likes to engage. It's like, that's not Rory's game.
I think, to be honest, he got hold of Ryan Gardner.
Yeah.
Poor
That's
old
possible
Gard.
too, yeah.
Gard.
Well, he'd be even a worse matchup. And this is the thing. Darcy's a bad matchup for everyone.
Yeah, hell yeah.
But in particular, this is
Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, that's right.
With the weekend, Origin, coming up, and we're also going to see all the new rules. There are 7 new rules. One, we already mentioned, 5 players on the bench. Would you, Boydie, if you were coach of an AFL team, would you leave a 5th player to come on in the second half, a bit like Lachie Neale in the grand final?
There's still the same interchange cap? Same cap interchanges?
I believe so, yep. Just 5. Yeah.
No, I think probably what I would do is, at the moment, the way that it's basically set up is that every team has 2 defenders that don't come off the ground, basically, is the way that it's worked over the last few years. And I think that probably starts to show later on in the year because you get essentially what you then ask of them, take the Stephen May role for the last few years where they basically just go, just goal keep. So you can stay out on the ground all day. Dude, they've done the same with Rory Lobb. I think you probably give those guys a bit more of a rest and you ask them to probably get involved in attack a bit more.
Okay. So I don't think you sit someone there as a quasi-sub. You try to just energise and use it. And as I mentioned, Louis Emmett, he's a bit of a backup ruck. I think it'll help a backup ruckman.
Yeah, I think in our circumstances with Tim and Sam, I would certainly put more energy around the ball would be the type of player that I'd play. Someone who can play sort of half forward and also around the middle of the ground and give them 5 minutes of a quarter to really, I'm not saying 5 minutes on the ground, 5 minutes in the middle to give us a bit more energy through there rather than leaving our boys out there for long periods.
Well, the other big rule is the Toby McLean rule, the shrug.
I used to love that's unfair. It's not the Toby McLean rule.
The Lachie Hunter rule, the Toby McLean rule.
I loved it when Toby did it.
Yeah.
But I hate it, obviously, when Ginnivan does it. But I love it when Toby does it. And he did a shrug.
Selwood was probably the most famous.
Well, Toby did a nice one late in the prelim final against GWS.
He did.
He didn't. It was a fair free.
What's that? They've just changed the interpretation?
Well, basically, if you shrug, you're seen to drop your shoulder. It's immediately...
That's seen as prior opportunity.
Yeah. So you're basically pinged.
Can we just, I think maybe in general, just mention that the way we ask our umpires to umpire, which are in part, by the way, based on what we were just talking about, is certainly on the players and the way that we exploit the rules.
Totally.
But it is an impossible game to umpire well.
Yeah, and I'll give you a peek behind the scenes. I have asked, I think, half a dozen umpires to come on this podcast just to talk through these rules in this segment. All of them are not allowed.
No.
So it's a real shame.
It's like, what did we say last year? We had a big interpretation shouldn't exist. Interpretation of rules should not be a thing. You shouldn't be able to say we're shifting the interpretation of the stand rule because 2 years ago, if you looked the wrong way, you were getting a 50 or 100-metre penalty.
Yep.
And nowadays they're like, we'll just give you 5 minutes to get your sort of stuff in order. And then you go, well, what's the point of the rule? It's redundant.
This is very Scandinavian, Tom. You want black and white, understandable.
Well, why make a rule that requires like a 50% swing in severity?
Well, me and my wife
swing.
I've been trying to reinterpret the rules of our marriage, but she's not keen.
No, black and white. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Does that involve a protected area or not?
The third man up was not popular.
Well, the protected area is one, actually. So
so can you probably know it better than me, Steve?
Well, the stand rule is changed, so I think under the old stand rule you could sort of shimmy back and
Bobby Hill was big on that.
Yeah, pull away from the mark and sort of fill space. Now when you stand, you really have to stand.
Yeah.
You can't push.
What do you
back.
think about the stand rule?
Oh, it's irritating, mindless, and a waste of time.
I actually think it goes against, and I've said this from the start. I think one was a solution to a problem they created themselves, which was when they removed things like the third man up. They started to get more stagnant footy. And so they go, how do we fix that? Because these guys are really good at standing the mark. And you go, well, that's because you made stoppages much more difficult to get out in open play. Right? And then they go, well, great, we'll put the stand rule in. And I'd say it actually goes against the complete spirit of what the game's about. It's just so different to everything we have.
To have to just freeze and not man the mark. I mean, that's part of footy. Taught to do is to man
it feels like a soccer rule or something that like... You're allowed to be in the game, but you're not allowed to touch the ball. It's kind of like being offside in a way.
Yeah, okay.
And I mean, visually, it's very hard for me to watch someone unable to participate.
And we don't need the umpire advising people to stand all the time. Umpires aren't there to coach.
Yeah, and the verbal pollution, as you might call it. It's the amount of things that we have to listen to now.
It's interesting you say soccer because the wording in offside is you cannot be in an offside position and be affecting play.
That's right, yeah.
And so, you are essentially taking out one player from affecting play.
Yeah, which sort of, it sort of goes again, I think, our game has been very dynamic for a long time, and it is the opposite. It's very static, which I think will look strange.
What about the ruck rules?
Yeah, what's this one? They can't go across the line?
Yeah, so it's more just a jump up now.
Yeah, that's
so you can't
better.
go across the line wrestle, which would be good for Tim English.
Yeah.
It's also better for what rucking was supposed to be, I think.
Yeah, so
but then they'll get more people get injured.
Yeah, so originally it was there to stop the PCL injury, the collision of the knees.
Yeah.
So there was too many PCLs in ruck work. They were crashing into each other.
When they were running from 40 metres away, yeah.
So people were going down. Luke Darcy
That was their circle that came in first and foremost, to shrink the distance.
Yeah, so now they're going
going
to jump
back to that.
Well, they won't run from as far though. So in the past they used to really charge in.
Yeah, okay.
But I think it'll be good. The male is obviously be good for Tim English because he's not.
No, he's a jumper.
He's not a grappler. He's not really a physical beast.
Yeah.
He's more of a jumper.
He's really flown under the radar, I feel like, Tim, the last 2 seasons. He's been decent, but he hasn't been sort of to the heights that he was leading into his big contract year.
Yeah, I think he's
at the end
of good.
It's kind of a good thing, right?
Oh, it's great. West Coast were about to snap him up.
Yeah, I think he gets underrated.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he participates to the best degree, but he doesn't need to be the star of the show.
So consistent performer. To be honest, though, I think Tim is probably underachieved in the big moments, and that's probably why so far
coming up this
so
year.
far.
Well,
but I think he's capable of turning it on. I mean, he's got every attribute you'd ever want, and the way he runs, covers the ground, can catch it down back, he can fill a hole.
Can
up
kick.
forward, he looks good.
Yeah, score
he
a
can
goal.
kick.
Yep.
But for some reason, in the big, you're waiting for the Tim English moment to say, turn that Freo game last year.
Yep.
The big game, Tim English take over.
I think maybe the thing that I see that holds him back is he doesn't have an attribute. He's sort of amazing at everything, but he doesn't have one attribute where he's the best in the competition by so far. Like you think about Max Gawn and his just ability to follow up and run and mark and kick goals, like in big moments. Again, he's getting older, but if you think about some of the big moments that he's had and he's just dominance around the stoppages, you go, well, he's the best tap ruckman in the league. He's going to open the whole game up. And you go, Tim's really good at that, but against the best, he's kind of right there, but not, he's not 20% better than Max Gawn,
And let's hope, because Tim is playing for WA this weekend.
Yeah, so we hope he gets.
I've said this a few times. Worst possible position in all of football would be rucking in an exhibition match. Because there's no way you can't win. All the midfielders, tell you what, they'll run around and they'll pat each other on the back, right? The ruckmen still have to ruck. And they can't even walk in and side by side each other anymore because the rules have changed.
Mate, do you reckon, and this is probably unfair, but do you reckon Chris Scott, coach in Victoria, he's got it, it would be good for him if Bont was injured. So do you reckon he's going to just send him out there and it's like, get right in there, Bont?
Bont's coming off with like half and like his knee all busted up and like, get back out there.
Well, Ken
he
Hinkley
puts all the Cats players on the bench.
I think there's a lot of rules around game time and stuff as well.
Yeah, which is a shame. There's game time limits. Ken Hinkley inferred yesterday that current coaches shouldn't be coaching this game because
that's not a bad idea.
I agree, yeah.
He's right.
That's fair.
It should be Rocket Eade and Peter Rode or something like that. We could bring Rode.
Rocket back would be so funny.
Rode could coach Victoria.
Yeah.
And WA, who have we had
Mick
there?
Malthouse.
Peter Quill. Bring him back to coach.
I said,
Danny Southern.
Bring back Dennis Pagan. Get him to do it.
But there's plenty of people out there that could coach. So there's.
Yeah, I agree.
I love Dean Cox. Great. Good on him. But there's no really need for him and Chris Scott to be coaching.
Yeah. And isn't Sam Mitchell an assistant or something?
Yeah, just bring back some old greats.
Yeah. Anyway, all right. Well, we should wrap up soon. Thank you so much for...
But Tom just called that an exhibition game, which is
what it is, mate.
Controversial.
Is it?
I agree with him. But
well, yeah, but it is.
But no, it's being hyped up as something special.
Well, of course it is. It'll be a half pace. It'll be a strange affair because footy's not a sport you can half pace. That's the thing. And back in the day, the boys didn't have anywhere near as much to lose, so they did go full pace. Like you talk to some of the guys who played in those State of Origin games, and they went, it was bananas. It's not going to happen now. And then I hear Max Gawn saying we should do it at the end of the year, mate. You'll lose 70% of the players to surgeries. and they won't do it.
Yeah.
There's no way. Or they'll book weddings or whatever. And, I know they're making good money to play this, some of these boys, but not making good money compared to what they've got on their contracts.
Stop ruining the fantasy, Boydie. It's state versus state. It's intense. It's going to be an epic game.
We covered this last week. 70% of the players who play in the AFL or 65 come from Victoria, so we should win by a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, if we lose,
maybe we ban it for the next 25 years.
Yeah. All right. Well, any final remarks of just something the Dogs fans can feel positive
I think maybe
about?
where we're going to finish probably is a good place. It says we're good as time and now as ever to really start to get into predictions for the year ahead.
Yeah.
What do you think, Dan?
I mean, whenever someone asks me this, I always say, who knows with our team? Because we can beat Brisbane at the Gabba by 10 goals. We can also lose to West Coast at Docklands.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Look, I'm always a chronic optimist. I think I have a feeling like every 5 years we have a breakout amazing year. And I think this really should be one of them.
It should be. I'm looking at the fixture, worries me though. The first 7 weeks are tough.
We've got we start with Brisbane, right?
Yeah. And then GWS at home. We've got Adelaide over there.
Do we think the
Hawthorn
GWS watching their own documentary of them getting abused by their coach will help?
Yeah,
It's hard to say.
Well, I know the guys who filmed that. It should be an amazing watch. So
Is that the Amazon Prime one?
yes,
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So no, it should be good this year, I think. But the thing is, we can relax
7.
because it's top 10.
That's right. Yeah.
But-
And we will be the first club we've won it from 7th. We can win it from 10th.
Yeah. So in reality, you know you're going to play in the top 10, right? If the Dogs finish 11th or below, it's a disaster.
If we are wildcard warriors again, I'm going to lose my marbles.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but unfortunately, that's sort of the territory that the Dogs...
Well, maybe that's the other way to think about it is obviously who's going to be up there near the top again. It seems very unlikely Brisbane are going to fall far. It seems unlikely the Gold Coast are going to go backwards. They look like the two Queensland teams are going to be
Swans will
unbelievable.
fire up again.
Probably. It's hard to see Geelong being bad.
And
I think Geelong... I'll call
Bad.
this Geelong going to miss finals.
Okay, so
What,
they're going to finish
the top 10?
11th.
Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
No, that's
okay.
not true. That's
Yeah,
like
right.
that's like saying them in Sydney are going to miss the top 10.
They'll
That's
make it.
very-
They'll-
That's,
they
that's
could all-
almost never happened.
They'll drop, though.
Home games in Geelong.
Yeah.
Yep.
But you lose a grand final like
I'm
that.
a Hawthorn believer. I
I think the Hawks are going to be strong
I
as
think
well.
Sam Mitchell, for some reason, is just a little genius. So I think
I tell you what, I took genuine offence though to like I'm using AI thing. That came out.
Okay, so you heard that as well.
That's
okay.
the lamest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Saying he's using AI for
Yeah.
everything.
No, I'm not saying
AI
he's
is
not
terrible.
I'm not saying. Well, so true. If let's say I work in a tech company, so I've seen a lot of people use AI in very different ways to the way I would use it.
Yeah.
And there's some unbelievable things out there. But the question would be, is that from what I can tell, the technology hasn't gotten to a point where you could go like, hey, watch every game that Steve-O's ever played and tell me his weaknesses. It's not there yet.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I reckon that came out in an interview. I think he let that slip, and
Yeah.
I reckon
He got pounced on, right?
he would now regret that. And he's now having to explain this AI. And you know the way footy works. He'll be remembered as the AI guy all year.
Yeah.
So it's stuck with him already.
And it's that people use it against you for no reason. They're like, oh, so what, AI's not made you a premiership player, mate? Maybe invest in some of the old stuff. Like, and people obviously always think there's a trade-off. Oh, using AI, so you guys aren't training properly.
He'll be flat saying, why did I go there?
Yeah.
You know,
When we play
it's been-
Hawthorn, should I make the banner just AI? Great call, Sam. I believe the way that you beat the Bulldogs would be to suffocate the midfield.
It's actually not funny. And obviously the funny thing is that when they were in Waverley, which is a far richer suburb, they didn't have any. But when they went to Dingley, they found the AI studio that followed them out there, Picked it up from the Amazon warehouse around the corner, I think.
All right, so I'm saying top 4. Boydie, you're saying...
I think we'll probably, unfortunately, finish somewhere, hopefully just
You're in
above.
wild card
I
zone.
think so.
I think we're, unfortunately, 7 to 10.
Yeah.
Just for the fixtures. So we're in a wild card.
Yeah, okay.
It's going to be hard to finish top 6. You're going to have to win for 15 games.
Yeah, and I think fixture and the quality of the teams that are coming through. I mean, there's going to be some teams who are all going to be chasing 17 or 18 wins a year between the top.
St Kilda will improve.
I don't think so at all.
Right. Okay.
North won't.
So they've wasted
Richmond
all-
won't. Melbourne won't.
So Saints have wasted all their time and money.
Oh, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
All right.
Take that, old
I
lady.
would put it this way. They didn't buy 15 good players.
Yeah.
You got to buy a lot to get a lot,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think Collingwood are on the slide.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. I think everyone can agree with
Essendon
that.
stuffed.
Yep.
Like, in reality, a lot of the Carlton stuff, Carlton will go backwards 100%.
Yep.
So of all the major big clubs, they're all going to be rubbish.
But you know what?
basically.
We don't play all that rubbish twice,
No.
which is a problem. So it comes down to the fixture, which is a real pain.
Yeah.
So, but final thing. So you both think we'll make finals, but we'll scrape in.
Yep.
How do we go in finals?
I think we win a wild card game.
Yeah.
Well, as soon as we win one game, we go all the way
that's
to the
right.
granny.
When we win a final, we're away.
Yeah.
God, I don't know. I feel so much pressure saying this. It's so strange. But I'd say probably we win 2. Maybe. From
Get
a
out.
wild card into a...
Yeah.
That would be, in some ways, that would be a decent year.
It's a long journey. You got to win. If you're in the wild card game, Danny, you've got to win 5 in a row.
Isn't it strange?
Of course we can.
Isn't it strange too, though? Like, my perspective of where we should finish and what's good and bad is not based on me looking at our team and going, we're bad. It's me going, the cookie has crumbled the same way for quite some time.
You're looking at empirical evidence.
Yeah, so unless it goes the other way, and I don't see between the 3 or 4 very promising guys we picked up in the draft and Connor who's come in, who I think is going to be fantastic for us. I'm not like, it's going to have to come from the way the team plays.
The positive is that Bont and Darcy, correct me if I'm wrong, only played 12 games together last year.
Yeah, something like that.
So get them both together. And I'm big on the number 27. I think if Frazier can find another
great.
level.
What about Sam Davidson? How's he been training?
The doc? Yeah, he's all right. I think Frazier's
The
the
new
man.
doc.
Yeah, I think
The new doctor.
Frazier's going to be the next big part of our team, I think.
I need a nerd to tell me whoever the new Doctor Who is, because that'll be Sam Davidson's nickname. All right, see, we're getting into the nerdy stuff. Thank you, gents. We will be back with an episode when there's more to say. Boydie will be on. Less than Steve-O this year, but we'll all be around. And go Dogs.
I gave my childhood to that role of the red, white and blue sea, and the knowledge that you had to love the Bulldog boys and me. 20 years on, I feel that longing hanging in September air. But the reason I go every week is to pretend you're still there, and they will find the glory one day, and I will throw it at your feet. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets. It's a long, long road they're running for you, the dogs of Footscray streets.